Hello, I'm Colleen Holder and this is Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're coming to you from the outskirts of Scarborough at the Blue Crab restaurant and right next to it, Daisy's Flower Shop. Conveniently located on Robinson Street, these establishments are owned and operated by Ken and Alison Sardina and their children. In 1985, the Blue Crab opened its doors and gained international exposure when it was featured in the April 1987 issue of Essence magazine. We'll tell you more about what makes the Blue Crab restaurant stand out from among the rest right after we tell you what's happening in our stories this week. Assembly Legislature staff step out from behind the walls of the THA chamber to extend a caring hand, developing leadership skills at the community level. And we'll tell you how the Tobago House of Assembly is responding to the threat of money laundering. You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago and we're here on Robinson Street at the Blue Crab restaurant. Did you know that it was in her parents' kitchen that renowned chef Deborah Sardina Metive got her start? Many of you may remember her as being the first female to captain the TNT culinary team to victory twice in the Caribbean Hotel Association's Taste of the Caribbean competition. Or you might remember her as being the head judge from Tobago's very own Culinary Fest. Clearly, the name Sardina is synonymous with good food. And speaking of good things, the staff of the Tobago House of Assembly Legislature Secretariat have gone beyond their official duties to show care and compassion for others in need. Omadara Mills has the details on the launch of the CARE initiative.
The fact that as we go about our lives quite merrily, there are those amongst us who are under tremendous pressures and are yearning for assistance and help.
And that's why mattresses, bed frames and furniture have been donated to the Marie's Home for the Aged by the Assembly's legislature as they embark on their CARE initiative project, a program started by the debating and the policy-making arm of the THA, which understands that it can do more than just look after its own affairs.
We are very cognizant of the fact that we cannot exist in a vacuum, protected from the things that affect the rest of society and our neighbors. As a consequence, this initiative will tangibly demonstrate that we are willing to help others as we pass along.
Under the CARE initiative's Purses with a Purpose category, other organizations will be receiving assistance from the Assembly Legislature through its fundraising ventures.
This is really where we demonstrate our compassion for the less privileged and the less fortunate in our society. That was a classic example. We have begun talking to Autism Tobago with a view to determine to what extent we can help them.
And the program is being endorsed by those involved in humanitarian activities.
I want to wish you all the best. I want to tell you it's a very, very good program that you are embarking upon.
A health and wellness program and a child care program also come under the CARE initiative. These areas will seek to look after the needs of the Assembly Legislature's employees. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
People usually think that national decisions and actions are only in the hands of politicians, but that's not really the case. Community-based organizations influence bigger decisions more often than we realize. And to demonstrate this, training sessions are being conducted to help these organizations learn how to bring about positive changes in society. Here's a look at what they learned.
The people you see here are participating in a leadership exercise entitled The Trust Walk. It is one of the practical ways in which the facilitator and assistant secretary at the Division of Community Development and Culture, Ansel Dennis, got the course participants to understand that a leader must have an idea of where they're going and be able to guide others with assurance and care.
You must lead from the front. You cannot take people to places where you have never been as a leader. So therefore, you must understand The vision, as I said before, you must understand what it takes to accomplish the task, and you must be able to demonstrate to those that you are leading how to effectively accomplish the task.
The leadership session saw people from community and faith-based organizations, as well as village councils, learning that leaders can't always please everyone around them.
The reason for action must not be to please people, but it must be for the greater good of the organization, the community, society, the nation, whatever your sphere of influence is.
Mr. Dennis, who's also the area representative for Buku Mount Pleasant, says that besides having sound ethical values, a leader must have another important character trait.
Confidence is a significant ingredient of leadership. You have to be confident to lead people.
Other areas such as financial management, ethics and accountability, and marketing are being taught at various community centers around the island so as to increase the positive and dynamic influence that community groups have in Tobago. I'm Umadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Money laundering is the term used to describe the process used by criminals to disguise the origins of illegally obtained money by making the cash appear to have come from a legal source or by transferring the cash into a legitimate asset. The Financial Intelligence Unit is working with the THA to provide information on how to counteract money laundering. This information was presented during the 4th annual Anti-Money Laundering Counter-Financing of Terrorism Compliance Conference held right here in Tobago.
The term money laundering dates back to the time of Al Capone. The notorious Chicago gangster was said to have bought up a string of launderettes in the 1920s to disguise his illicit earnings. According to statistics, money laundering is still occurring today. According to the manager of Tobago Services Limited, Peter Agard, Tobago has an informal cash-based society which is attractive for money launderers.
We may have money laundering that's originating from Trinidad into Tobago because it may be getting a little difficult for them down there to get through with what they're trying, and then they come to Tobago because they figure that it's a little easier to do so here.
But Tobago Services Limited is assisting in the fight against money laundering. They are one of the listed businesses with the Financial Intelligence Unit, which has agreed to feed them information on any suspicious transactions and activities.
We emphasize to our customers that we recognize the discomfort that they may feel in disclosing their financial details. And that is the empathy part. We step into their shoes and make them understand that we know. And in so doing, that in and of itself is a way of gaining the trust of our customers.
Real estate is another concern when it comes to money laundering on the island. And the Tobago House of Assembly realizes that they must preserve Tobago from the effects of money laundering and other white-collared crimes using significant actions.
Special scholarships, grants, and other incentives to encourage young Tobagonians to pursue qualifications in the fields of forensic accounting, financial investigations, and white-collar crime investigations can be provided through the Assembly's Financial Assistance Unit.
There are certain types of businesses that should register with the Financial Intelligence Unit to ensure the island does not become a soft target for money launderers. These are real estate, motor vehicle sales, gaming houses, pool betting, national lotteries online betting games, jewelry companies, private members clubs, accountants, attorneys at law, or other independent legal professionals. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're taking a break, but do stay with us for details about a cultural mission to Cuba. You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us here at the Blue Crab restaurant. Scrumptious local dishes aren't the only things on display here at the restaurant. This heritage window is where diners can get a glimpse into Tobago's past traditions. A mortar and pestle, an antique eye shaver, and a washboard complete with blue soap are just a few of the items on display, and the owners admit that they resort to using some of these items from time to time. But let's turn our attention now to Tobago's emergency responders who revisit drills and update their skills to prepare for disasters. A workshop was held to train the responders to work with the health system to deal with all kinds of situations.
Operation Dark Wave was an emergency drill carried out on the island a few months ago. Out of this drill, responders such as the Tobago Emergency Medical Service, the Fire Service, the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, and the medical fraternity saw the need to improve their collaboration during times when there will be a large number of persons in need of medical attention. So, at the Hospital-Based Management of Mass Casualty Incidents workshop, representatives from the island's emergency response units discussed how they can improve each other's response plans with a particular look at the operations of the medical system.
We talk about methods to ensure that the hospital and the providers are able to ensure continuation of coverage of care regardless of the conditions around them. So if they lose power, if they lose water, if they lose structural support of the building, how are they able to keep caring for the island?
One of the 24 participants is the General Manager for Operations at TRHA, Brian Solomon. He agrees that there needs to be a more integrated approach when dealing with those who need medical attention during a disaster.
When you have this kind of a workshop, it brings together all the agencies and it highlights exactly the need for the collaborative working and the actually sharing of responsibilities, sharing of resources, and also for the commitment from management to actually get involved in it and set principles, policies that will enable the process to take place.
It is hoped that the participants of the workshop will go back to their respective agencies and apply what they have learned in developing more collaborative mass casualty plans.
Implementation from a planning perspective, implementation from a making certain predictions, implementation as it relates to preparedness, response mechanism, looking at ways as to how to improve response plan within from a hospital-based perspective.
Participants discussed topics such as patient management response, best practices for common hazards, and mass casualty incident triage. The 5-day workshop has been carried out by the U.S. State Department Anti-Terrorism Office and the Tobago Emergency Management Agency. I'm Omadar Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Let's shift gears to focus on the environment for a bit. Do you know that an average-sized tree creates sufficient oxygen in 1 year to provide for a family of 4? Well, that's just one of the many benefits of planting trees. We all know that automobile traffic, manufacturing, and other human activities are playing havoc with our environment. But in this Davia Chambers report, you'll hear about one organization that's trying to reduce global warming simply by planting trees.
According to the environmental protection agencies, planting trees is a must if we want to save our planet. Trees not only remove harmful chemicals from the soil, but also help reduce the greenhouses leading to global warming. And the Community-Based Environmental Protection and Enhancement Program, or CPEP, under the THA is doing this. The team recently planted trees at the Black Rock Heritage Park.
We will be doing that throughout the island. We have some sea grape and some sea mahout, as they call it. Lovely trees when they grow big.
But the trees won't be planted and just remain there without any attention being given to them. According to Mr. Seeley, the organization would be having a competition that would ensure that the area is always upkept, since trees are the natural habitat of animals and birds.
We are not going to put them down as sometimes people do, and at the end of it all, they just disappear because of lack of, So I want we're going to run a small competition. Around every tree, you're going to make a little garden. So that will form a kind of protection for the tree and ensure that you take care of it all the years so that it can mature into a real live and huge tree.
The tree planting exercise was one of the activities held by the company as they celebrated CPEP Week 2014. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
27 local performers showed off their talent at the annual Cuba Disco Music Festival in Cuba. The event is hosted by the Permanent Committee of the International Fair along with the Cuban Institute of Music. Trinidad and Tobago is the guest of honor at this year's staging of the festival, which runs from the 17th to the 25th of May. Tobago will play an important role, displaying its unique music and dance. Let's take a look at how our cultural ambassadors prepared for their performances.
They're rehearsing frequently. Dancers, drummers, musicians, singers, to make certain that they perfect their routines for the Cuba Disco Music Festival 2014 to showcase the talent and culture of Tobago.
That has been lovely. Miss Winstrom is a very difficult choreographer because her movements are so always exotic and hard, but she tries to make sure you get it, so it's always fun, and the choreographies are quite nice, as in energetic.
But the Cuba Disco Festival is also a way to promote both the country of Cuba as well as the genre of Cuban music, and our contingent will be performing some Latin songs as well.
We basically play along with the choir and some with the dancers to help them out. So we have different pieces like Mi Amor, Cuando Cuando, Pan in A minor, Dance de Belle.
Tobago will also be participating in another activity.
The paper that I will be presenting is based, actually the name of the paper is Cultural Retention in Tobago, Africa in Her Veins. So that I will be looking at the various traditions that we would have upheld in Tobago. Yeah, such as, I'm not only speaking about any form of dance or performing arts, but also in the form of behavioral patterns and social structure. So we are talking about even speech patterns. We are speaking about the way we cook. We are talking about the way we socialize.
The performers hope to gain quite a lot from the trip.
I hope to gain exposure from this trip, you know, so we could see like people in other countries around the world could see what Trinidad and Tobago has.
So it'd be nice to see how what we have fits in to what they have and what they have can like benefit us.
The team left for Cuba last Friday and is sponsored by the Division of Community Development and Culture. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're taking a break, but do stay with us for details about a festival designed to inspire local film directors. This is Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us. Located right next door to the Blue Crab is Daisy's Flower Shop, owned by the Sardina's youngest daughter, Sandra. A member of the Tobago Bridal Association, Sandra studied agriculture and was encouraged by her mother to sell flowers, and she's been doing so successfully for the last 15 years, pursuing her passion. And speaking of passion, this is one of the traits which was highlighted at Tobago Fashion Week's business workshop. Local designers got some inside knowledge from experts in the industry about branding and marketing their creations and how to make fashion a profitable business. Davia Chambers tells us more.
Fashion. It's a reflection of times in which any wear is created and worn. It's what's modern. It's an art about aesthetics, style, and trends. It also is a multi-billion-dollar industry. This aspect of fashion is what entertains most of us. But there's another aspect of it: commerce.
After 4 years at CFD and someone graduates with a BFA in fashion design, I don't think they want to be considered in an entertainment industry. They want to start a business.
And the Tobago Fashion Weekend 2014 wanted to share that knowledge with models and designers.
The fashion management part of the industry is the business part. These are the movers and shakers of the industry. Fashion buying, analyzing trends to develop seasonal product ranges, retail merchandising, fashion management, visual merchandising using social ambience design and service strategies to build appealing retail environments, public relations, events organizer, public product sourcing, product development and innovation.
And for all upcoming designers, this international brand consultant has some advice for you to develop your brand, of course, keeping commerce in mind.
I suggest to look for companies and look for brands that will support your focus and your vision. If you are wanting to be a designer in the New York market or in any global market, work for a designer. It's the best education you could ever have. Work for a designer. I can't stress it enough. You can't be a superstar overnight.
Tobago Fashion Weekend 2014 was held at Milford Road, Scarborough from May 16th to 18th and saw 25 designers partaking in both swimwear and modern fashion. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're almost halfway through 2014 and so far Tobago's athletes are making their parents, coaches, schools and communities proud at regional and international levels. Omar Mills has the story of a special award ceremony hosted by the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport to recognize our sporting talent.
Bodybuilding is not a popular sport on the island, but one man, Kelton Thomas, captain of the national bodybuilding team, is making sure that Tobago is represented on the regional and international bodybuilding stage. With his gold medal at the 2010 CAC Bodybuilding Championships and his top 10 position in the 2014 Arnold Schwarzenegger World Bodybuilding Championships in Ohio, Mr. Thomas was recognized for his achievements by the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport at their awards ceremony themed Solid Gold, where he expressed gratitude for the financial support he receives from the THA.
Thanks for the powers that be that assist me, because without the help of the THA, these are expensive travels all the time, and without them having to come in and fund my stay and my flight and stuff, that will be impossible for me to go. So I just want to say thanks, and I'll continue to do you guys proud.
And our young athletes have also been awarded for their outstanding performances at the 2014 Carifta Games, where people such as Andwele Wright, Chelsea James and Omari Benoit helped to bring home 9 of the 25 medals won by the country. Besides their parents, the THA and coaches, the team is also grateful for the role the local media played in covering their events.
During and before the game, it encouraged and helped build our self-confidence in that we were able to see ourselves on television and Facebook, reminding us that we have a duty to perform our best and represent the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago.
Young table tennis players have also been recognized for their achievements. These Tobago players won the 4 teams that won bronze medals at the Under-15 and Under-18 regional table tennis competition in Cuba. Their coach, Dexter Abbott, says he's proud whenever Tobagonians win medals, since it is an inspiration to everyone.
It's always an honor to have our flag raised at the closing ceremony in any event. It gives us a sense of achievement. It gives the country a lift.
The Department of Sport understands the sacrifices made by the athletes, their coaches and parents, so that they can be the best. And so the department is making this promise.
The department will continue to provide support. The department will continue to provide, within the resources available to us, all of the enabling environments necessary for athletes to be the best that they can be.
In addition to the awards, the athletes were also given financial support by the THA before they left for their respective events. I'm Omar Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
We all know that Hollywood blockbuster films are a staple for local audiences. But do you know that there are other great filmmakers from countries outside the US who make equally thrilling and inspiring films? Well, that's one of the ideas behind the annual European Film Festival put on by the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival. And Tobagonians are not being left out of the event. Here's a look at some of what the festival has to offer and how this event can benefit Tobago's film industry.
I would like
decided to put each and every one of you in my pocket and to return with you to South Africa.
This film on the life of the late Nelson Mandela is just one of the movies which has been on the lineup for the Tobago leg of the 2014 European Film Festival being held at Movietown. It's a French-UK film production which is both educational and relevant for adults as well as children.
As we all know, Mandela just died. He was an amazing person for this 20th and 21st century. And we hope schools will come and see it. It's an important story for school children to know about.
Other films which patrons have been able to see are the German-Kenyan co-production Nairobi Half-Life and a silent black and white version of Snow White from Spain. And although the films originate from various European countries, persons will realize that based on the themes and quality of the films, the foreign productions have a lot in common with their Hollywood counterparts as well as their own message.
People assume that if a film is from Europe, it's just going to be about white Europeans because that's how we think of Europe. But Europe is quite multicultural. There are a lot of second and third generation children from African parents who live in Europe. And there are also first, second and third generation Caribbean people who live in Europe.
The variety of films will help local filmmakers see different ways of making films other than the Hollywood blockbusters.
It's good to experience another type of filmmaking, a different way of telling a story, and that empowers a budding filmmaker to really kind of try and be true to their own self. And we, as Trimbagonians, have to learn to tell our own story in our own way.
The European Film Festival is put on by the European embassies stationed in the country, and whether it's this film festival or the local Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival held later in the year, they are supported by the Tobago House of Assembly since it helps to develop the island's film industry. I'm Umadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's time to have Your Say, the segment of our program where we hear from you, our viewers. Thankfully, the rainy season has started, but in Trinidad and Tobago, bushfires or wildfires are common occurrences of the dry season. This year's reduced rainfall has left the usually green landscape particularly dry, ideal conditions for the start of and rapid spread of bushfires. The fire service is appealing to the public to be more responsible about lighting and reporting fires, as bushfires have caused $4 million worth of damage in Tobago so far this year. With this in mind, we're asking, what more can Tobagonians do to help prevent bushfires? This is what you said.
I think they can stop throwing cigarette butts because I drive taxi, as you know. And sometimes when I go up on the road, you could see them just light their cigarette and just throw it on the road. I find that could help the bushfires and stop lighting fires without a cause,
Avoid smoking. That is one. And I also believe too that sometimes when bushfire are being caught, maybe people might be attempting to make things like garden and whatsoever, and they just set fire, right? Which could be dangerous.
You got to educate the public about the awareness of bushfires. Number one, bushfire could then destroy the environment, the habitat, like the wildlife, a lot of different things.
This is a matter of education. You see, the public does not know, they don't have the knowledge with respect to matters relating to the ease with which you have fires in the season.
I think Tobagonians just need to consider themselves responsible people and understand the hurt they're doing to the environment, understand the consequences of their actions, and I'm sure that once they take all these things into account, they would not continue lighting bushfires.
And that's how we bring this week's edition of Let's Talk Tobago to a close. Remember, you can send us your comments or queries on anything you've seen in this program to information@tha.gov.tt or visit us at www.tha.gov.tt. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Colleen Holder, and on behalf of all of us at the Department of Information, have a safe and enjoyable week. And as we go, we leave you now with a final look at the Blue Crab Restaurant and Daisy's Flower Shop.